give us the feedback later in case you find something useful or really not useful. So you can let us know. We'll improve. Thank you, Prabhuji. We will do a small kirtan. We'll continue. I know I'm very bad and G. Prabhu was awesome. So we'll do a small Jai Radha Madhav and then we'll start the session. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Subhagamai Jayo Sudarshana Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantare Sanatana Jayo Mamanade Jayo Jayo Nitai Chaitanya Jayo Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Chaitanya Jayo Nitai Chaitanya Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Hariam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanand ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Ramananda Madhav Shri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So thank you, Sudarshan. Give me one moment. Hare Krishna, I'm hoping I'm audible.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, welcome everyone for the Sunday evening session. Like Sumit Prabhu mentioned, this is a special Bhagavatam session. Firstly, I'm absolutely not qualified to speak on Bhagavatam, but taking it as a service, I pray that you all bless me that I can speak something on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam from Cantos 1, 2, and 3. We'll focus on Canto 1, more so because it's easy and there are a lot of pastimes there. Canto 2 and 3, we'll see what is the content, and then we'll take it up from there. Okay. Now, a little bit of background before we do the invocation prayers, right? So all of us know, we had a wonderful class from Krupamay Gaurang Prabhu last time on the Glories. One thing that we clearly know is that when Srila Prabhupada went to the West for the first time, there's only one thing that he carried other than the blessings of his Guru Maharaj, that was Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is no limit to how much we can glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. The kind of confidence that Srila Prabhupada had, the kind of confidence that Acharyas have. Now, if you look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, did not give us too many instructions, right? But he gave us very simple. So Sankirtana, okay, chanting that we all do, prasadam, we all take. I mean, so much of glories on the prasadam that is there. But if you read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, you will see that conversations with Gadadhar Pandit, the way that they would weep so much that the Bhagavatam was wiped out. Tota Gopinath, even if you go today in Orissa, close to Jagannath Puri, you will actually see that temple there. It's all about Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved to read Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, it is a question that each of us can ask ourselves. Some of us are new to Krishna consciousness. Some of us have been around for a long time. How much of Srimad Bhagavatam are we reading? Do we really read? I know there are wonderful Vaishnavas here who have in the past tried, study groups. We all tried to read Srimad Bhagavatam, but are we serious and are we sincerely taking it up? With that background, Krupa Prabhu mentioned a very nice shloka 1.1.3 from the first canto, first chapter, third shloka, Nigama kalpa toror galitam phalam, sukhamukhad amrita drava samyutam, vibhata bhagavatam prasamalayam, muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful man, relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literature. Whatever can be the Vedic, the matured fruit of that is this Srimad Bhagavatam. It's even more tasteful because it comes from the lotus lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. And for us, along with that, we have the wonderful purports of Srila Prabhupada. So let's relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, how much or we can, whatever is our capacity, Bhagavatam reciprocates with us. I'm forgetting the name of the Purana, but it's actually mentioned, I think, in Skanda Puran. It mentions that this Bhagavatam is a personality in Brahmaloka. So we actually pray to this Bhagavatam for that connection to go back to the spiritual world. All the Vedas reside there, right? All the Vedas, as we know, are personalities. Along with this, Srimad Bhagavatam is also there. Okay, the wonderful personality. We'll pray with that mood. We actually will pray. Okay, let's do the invocation and then let's get into the topics today. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay. Wonderful. Three cantos. Let's see what we did, what we heard last time. We might not be able to cover the whole thing, but quickly we'll see what are the different topics that are there, and we'll continue. I will share my screen if that is okay with all of you. My screen is visible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, just minimize. So Kripal Prabhu actually introduced these topics. Canto 1 and 2 are the lotus feet of the Lord. So on the right side, we have all the different or the 10 different topics that Bhagavatam talks about. On the left, we have all the chapter names and what they indicate in the lotus body of the Lord. Okay, 1 and 2 are the lotus feet. 3 and 4 are the thighs. Here we basically talk about some of the basic topics, Sarga, Visarga, which is creation and subsequent primary creation and the subsequent creation. First canto we'll talk about it a little detailed. So we'll come back to that. Fifth canto is the navel of the Lord, talks about the sthana. If some of you might have attended Ranjo Prabhu's wonderful class on the creation, the universe and all that. So that is there in the fifth canto. The sixth canto talks about Poshana, or how the Lord protects the chest. Seventh and eighth canto talk about the arms of the Lord. Utiyan, Manvantara. The ninth canto talks about the truth, which is Ishanukata. 10th is the lotus face of the Lord, the Ashraya, which is our Dasamaskandam, which is our, all the pastimes of the Lord, wonderful pastimes, that nectar, which Prabhupada has separately given us that book, right? The 10th canto. Okay. 11th canto talks about the forehead, which is Mukti or liberation. And 12th canto is the head. Some people even call the crown of the Lord. So these are the 10 topics. Nirodha. So this is basically introduced already by Krupame Prabhu. Today, what we will do is we will try to hear from Canto 1 to a little bit of 3. We'll focus more on Canto 1. We'll talk about pastimes of the Lord, some of the wonderful things in connection with the Lord and his devotees. How does that work? 2 and 3 will have a basic overview, and then let's see from next session how we can cover more topics. Okay, let's move on. We will skip that. We'll come back to it if we have time. So what does Canto 1 have? So Canto 1 is basically, you can't even call it a trailer. It's the summary, of the entire Bhagavatam from the content perspective in one sense. Okay, if you look at in some of the cantos, I mean later cantos of Bhagavatam, you'll actually see whenever you open a chapter, there's a summary of what is there in the chapter, and then Prabhupada starts off with the shlokas of the chapter. If you have the Bhagavatam book in your house, okay. So this is actually the prelude to the rest of what is going to come in the Bhagavatam. Okay, a lot of wonderful key topics like who is the Supreme Lord, what is our relationship with the Lord. Okay, how does each of them behave? Why does the Lord do something? So we'll see what are the kind of topics it covers in the subsequent slides. A lot of key philosophical concepts are all covered in the first canto. Like I said, it's a prelude. Then it also introduces to us wonderful personalities, the prominent characters. Okay, when we talk about Bhagavatam, many of us talk about Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit, that conversation. So why did Parikshit come there? What was his background? Why did Sukadeva Goswami come there? What is his background? What is the background for the entire Srimad Bhagavatam? Who are the other characters like Narad Muni, Vyasadev, Lord Krishna himself, the Pandavas? What is the relationship? A bit of the characters from Mahabharata, how Kunti Devi behaves, how Bhishma Dev behaves, how the Lord protects, what is wrong with Ashwatthama. All those are very nicely explained here, the first canto. Now, people who like that balance, balance of philosophy and pastimes, first canto is very, very relishable. It talks a lot of philosophy, and with Prabhupada's purport, it's very, very wonderful. Okay, and then it, as in any of our Gaudiya Vaishnava books, obviously with Srimad Bhagavatam or with Bhagavad Gita in the right sense, if you read it as it is, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, you establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Goddess. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That will automatically come. And then obviously, how do I connect with that Supreme Personality? Not just establish Krishna, but also that connection with Krishna, which is through love, through Bhakti Yoga. All these are very nicely explained in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I will probably have a disclaimer here. These slides are not exhaustive. Whatever you see here is not complete. This is a very condensed version of the condensed version of Srimad Bhagavatam that we have. And I have stuck to what would be the flow for today. So in case you are just repeating, don't at any point in time consider this to be exhaustive. Okay, that's a disclaimer. So if you want details, we have other books like Subodhini and others, Bhagavatam summary books, so you can refer to those. Okay, first canto, what does it do? Net, what it does is actually there's a bit of marketing of Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Lord. Okay, why I use the word marketing is because if you see the first 6-7 chapters, it's all about glories of Bhagavatam. Every character who comes in, we are talking about prominent character. Every character who comes in throughout this is either going to glorify Bhagavatam or glorify the Supreme Lord. Okay, and like I said, this first canto is the summary for the rest of Bhagavatam, what is going to come. Okay, so it's a nice piece. Don't use marketing in the wrong sense. This is very nice sense. Okay, so little bit of background. Now let's get into the subject matter. Let's get into the top content of what's there. Okay, now it starts off first 3 shlokas. If you hear it, just basically glorifies. We already heard from Kripamani Prabhu some of the content. Okay, just a background on how Srila Prabhupada had written the purports for the first 3 shlokas. If you have the Bhagavatam book with you, you can actually look at it. It's exhaustive, elaborative content. And Prabhupada wanted to cover everything that he wanted to discuss in the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto. Then he said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish off the entire first canto of Bhagavatam. Let me try to condense everything and put it in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, that also was not very sure he'll be able to finish the first chapter. He was writing it in English, right? The purports were for the first time being written in English. He was referring to many of the Acharya's books to actually arrive at that. So he said, okay, maybe first chapter I should write everything. That also he was not sure. So in the first shloka or first 3 shlokas, he's written most of what he wants to discuss with us. Now, like, I always quote this example of Bhagavad Gita introduction. I mean, many times that 32 page introduction of Bhagavad Gita summarizes what we want to discuss. Similarly, Bhagavatam first 3 shlokas of the first chapter kind of summarizes what all we need to discuss. This is still, the characters are not common. Still we are praying to the Bhagavatam. Let's start reading Bhagavatam types. So starting off with the characters coming in, the story start. Okay, there are a lot of sages who have assembled at the forest of Naimisharanya. And we have Suta Goswami, who is now the head. Okay, there's a background to this. We'll see if we can cover today or later chapters. So Suta Goswami is now the head. Shaunak Rishi is the head of the assembled crowd, and they are asking questions to Suta Goswami. Okay, so it starts off with this in the first chapter itself. So there are 6 fundamental questions, very nicely put. So I've just listed them down here. What is the absolute and ultimate good for people in general? So if you remember Bhagavad Gita, we have used this Shreyas and Prayas, right? So here it talks about what is that Shreyas, ultimate good for people in general. What is the essence of all the scriptures? For what purpose did the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear in the womb of Devaki and Vasudeva? Clearly established that Sri Krishna, son of Devaki and Vasudeva, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sages have all accepted it. They are asking, why did he appear? Can you tell us about some of his pastimes? That is item number 5 here. And tell us of the acts of the Lord performed in relationship to creating the material world. This talks about creation part of it, which we'll try to touch upon. And then where has the religion taken shelter after Krishna retired to his abode? So by this time, they've also established that Krishna has already entered his pastimes here, some kind of pastimes. So he's already retired back to his abode, spiritual world. So what happens now to the dharma? Where have they taken shelter of? Okay, very nicely put 6 questions. If you get an answer to this, most of the philosophical content and some of the pastimes we will automatically understand. But the very first question is what we should understand, what we should like, is that the discussion is nothing to do material. It's talking about what is that ultimate good, the absolute and ultimate good for people in general. Okay, now the 6th question, after Krishna went back to his abode, retired, the Bhagavatam is taken, the religion has taken shelter in Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Vyasadeva, who is the literary incarnation of Krishna. That is the flow. So rest of it we will see. Okay, so I'm hoping we are good on time. Okay, we will continue. So in the first canto itself, we'll actually see some of the incarnations being mentioned, the different incarnations. It could be Varahadev, it could be Vamandev, could be Narsimadev, Parashuram, and so on. All these are mentioned in the 3rd chapter. And as we flow along, after Sutta Goswami is now explaining, and after he finishes all this, he uses a very nice shloka. So whenever you are in doubt, whenever someone else is asking you this question, why do you consider Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? There's so many incarnations, why not someone else? Here is the shloka. Ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions, establishing the position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, very nice, very nicely put. So we'll remember this shloka, very few shlokas. So we'll try to cover some of those. Now we'll come down to the past tense part of it, right? Now the story continues. Everyone is asking. So Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of the Lord, has compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam. Why did he have to compile this? Okay, so for devotees who know, so Vedanta Suttas, natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, Kripa Prabhu mentioned last time. So this Vyasadeva, why did he have to compile this? Now, Vyasadeva had written all the Vedas. He had written the Vedanta. He had written the Puranas. He had also written the Itihasas. He's compiled this Mahabharata, the wonderful 1 lakh plus verses, and he's put in all the contents, the 700 shlokas in the middle of Mahabharata for preaching to us, which we call as Bhagavad Gita, or the instructions directly given by the Lord. Still, Vyasadeva is not happy. He's feeling something is missing. And what is that something that is missing? Okay, his spiritual master, Srila Narad Rishi, arrives there. When Narad Muni arrives, and Vyasadeva is now explaining to him, I have written this, I have tick, 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 tick. I have done everything. I have spoken whatever is needed, and still I'm not completely satisfied. Now, here, Narad Muni tells him a very, very wonderful thing. He just asks him one particular piece. He says, you have written everything. You have told about everything that is needed. Okay, if someone properly understands everything, then they are delivered. But what have you done? You have given a buffet of all the items that are available. Can be karma kanda, karma yoga, jnana yoga, all those different pieces. You have mentioned about all of them. Now, if someone is trying to search for anything material motivation, he would still use your instructions, your details that you have given, and still be lost, because he's not going to get that ultimate absolute benefit. Please remember that our focus would be that ultimate and absolute benefit is still not achieved. What have you missed? You have missed glorifying the Supreme Lord exclusively. There is no scripture where you have only glorified the Supreme Lord, because even if there is a tinge of some other factor, people tend to get lost. They'll say, I will do this, Dhanam Dehi, Shre Dehi, give me a beautiful wise Vidya Dehi. They still think they're following Vedic scriptures because you have given them. And because of that, Ashwamedha Yajna is there, Rajasuya Yajna is there. Because of doing one particular Yajna, visiting this place, you get this benefit. That people will be lost. And my dear Vyasadeva, you need to be more compassionate towards people, and for that you need to exclusively glorify the Supreme Lord, and that glorification is the reason why we have Srimad Bhagavatam written. So this is beautifully explained in a couple of chapters. You can all read that from the first canto. Okay, this conversation and the background to it. And Narad Muni then goes on to explain his background. How did he become Narad Muni? His story of how he was the son of a maid servant. Then he served that association of Vaishnavas who blessed him, and the Lord personally gave him his darshan. He got the darshan of the Lord and he got the blessings, and then he became, in the next life he becomes Narad Muni. What was he in the previous life? That is not mentioned about his Gandharva, how he became the son of a maid servant. That is not there. But that part from a maid servant to how he became that wonderful devotee of the Lord, who we all glorify every time, that part is also mentioned in the first canto. Okay, we will continue. Okay, this is a very nice shloka. This coming in the 7th chapter. Yasyam Vaishrayamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsam Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. Now, Vyasadeva is compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. What happens if you actually sincerely hear to this? Srimad Bhagavatam. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling of loving devotional service to the Lord, to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fear. Okay, Shoka, Moha, and Bhaya. Today, I mean, most of our so-called friends and relatives who are there, they're so much into this lamentation, illusion, and fear because of COVID situation, job situation, whatever is happening, right? Now it says that at once you'll get out of this. What by when? Simply by hearing to this, giving oral reception to this Srimad Bhagavatam. No, as soon as bhakti utpatyate, as soon as bhakti comes into your heart, everything else will get vanished. And how will bhakti come? When you give oral reception to this Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is not only glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, it's also establishing the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you look at what's written on top, glorification of the Lord has to be the center for devotees. Else they will separate out just like materially motivated people. Okay, if we use Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita for anything, typically, many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada actually quotes about Mayavad philosophy, saying that if you use Srimad Bhagavatam but you do not understand Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you're wasted. Bhagavatam reciprocates with us. Like I already mentioned, Bhagavatam is a person. Bhagavatam reciprocates. It's Supreme Personality of Godhead, non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And Krishna says, "Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tam sataiva bhajamyaham." That reciprocation of the Lord happens how much closer you go to the Lord, how much serious you are about hearing or reading Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a connection that you get with Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not about saying that I have also read Srimad Bhagavatam, but your connection automatically happens. I'm hoping that we'll come to some more slides which will talk about the emotions that are there, emotional connect with Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, now again, philosophy is there. We'll come back to some of the past times. We'll continue. So what happens with the past time perspective? Okay, here the story of Ashwathama comes. Okay, the son of Drona punished. The chapter there, Ashwathama now has killed the sons of Pandavas and the five sons of Draupadi basically, and then all the Pandavas are very angry. Arjuna goes and captures Ashwathama. He wants to kill him. Each person, each Pandava's mood is shown there, including Draupadi and Krishna. Krishna is also there, and Ashwathama is captured. And Arjuna was about to kill him, and Draupadi says, "Stop it." Draupadi was the one who was feeling extremely sad that all her kids are, killed unjustly by Ashwathama. So, but she says Arjuna to stop. She says, "No, we will not kill him, because imagine what will his mother go through. His mother has just lost Dronacharya, the husband, and now if the son also goes, she will be in a situation where her only son is lost, like my only children are also dead." Okay, the mood of Draupadi is also very nicely given. Yudhishthira says maybe we should hear to Draupadi, she is correct. Arjuna is now deciding should we not, and Bhima says no ways, let's chop Ashwathama. Krishna is smiling. Krishna is like enjoying all this. Krishna loves these different rasas. So he's like, wow, this conversation is nice. And then he says, okay, let's actually punish him in such a way that his glories come down. For a Brahmana, his fame, when he makes mistakes and it comes down, is as good as death. So that the conversation bed, and they chop off his shika and all that. So that part is mentioned there. Now, continuation of the story. So Ashwathama, he releases the Brahmastra, and Arjuna counterattacks with the Brahmastra. Then Krishna asks Arjuna to retaliate both the Brahmastras. He does that. Then Ashwathama shoots one more into the womb of Uttara, who is Parikshit's mother, or Abhimanyu's son. So Krishna then goes and protects, on the prayers of Kunti Devi and Uttara, he goes and protects that little child in the womb of Uttara. He does that. All this is done. Ashwathama is punished. He goes off. Then Krishna now says that I've spent a lot of time here. I came during the Kurukshetra war. Now I need to go back to Dwaraka. So as soon as he says he wants to go back to Dwaraka, everyone is coming and talking to Krishna. And that's where, Kunti Devi's prayers come. Prayers of Kunti Devi is a separate book. Srila Prabhupada, there's wonderful messages are there in that. We'll try to keep it short. A couple of shlokas maybe we will discuss. So Kunti Devi comes and prays to Krishna, and her mood is so nice. The way she prays, vipada santata shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. Okay, Kunti Devi is actually mentioning all the different calamities that the family went through at each time. You know how Krishna protected. It could be Durvas Muni being angry. It could be they were put into the wax house or the lac house where Krishna and Vidura actually protected. How Krishna was the main reason why the Pandavas could have ever won the battle against such personalities like Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Karna, and so on. So she says all this, and oh my dear Krishna, let these calamities happen again and again. Imagine the mood of Kunti Devi. Why is she saying? Saying so that we could see you again and again. Whenever we are in trouble, you come, because we are devotees. Krishna will always come there, and whenever you come, we see you. And once we have your darshanam, apunar bhava darshanam, apunar janma. There is no punar janma, no repeated birth and death. She's very, very clear. She's saying, let us be in trouble, you be with us. We don't want a life without you. Why? She continues saying this very famous shloka, right? Janma Ishwari Sutta Shri. Many times you would have heard saying that high parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty. These are the reasons. If you have these kind of material stuff, your pride will not let you come closer to the Lord. Okay, she say, if you leave us and go, then we'll have other things to do. Take care of the family, take care of the kingdom. We have many things to take care of, and then we will actually lose your touch. It's better that we have trouble and you be with us. That life is something that I prefer. No, many a times we cannot pray like Kunti Devi, but we can understand the mood behind this. If you can read the purport of Prabhupada for these two shlokas, 25 and 26. So very clearly it's mentioned that one person who is materially exhausted, he can easily approach the Lord. That is the mood in which we should understand, not that we need to renounce everything. It's very difficult, very difficult for us to pray to the Lord that keep me in trouble. We always go to the Lord saying, how can I get out of trouble? Many a times we go, with a prescription to the Lord, I want to get out of the trouble in this particular way, which is a bad attitude to have. But it is difficult for us to pray that keep me in trouble, but it's easy to tell that whatever comes, oh my Lord, you will take care. Okay, that mode you can have. You'll continue. After Kunti Devi prays, then Yudhishthira comes and requests Krishna, can you please stay back for some more days? Krishna decides, okay, let me stay for a few more days in Hastinapur, not only for Kunti Devi, not for Yudhishthira, not for Subhadra, who has lost Abhimanyu, not only for them, but for all of them, and also one of my most important devotees who is still around, waiting for me to come and meet him, who is Bhishma Dev. So the story goes from there to Bhishma Dev, where all of the Pandavas and many other wonderful personalities and demigods, they all come and take instructions from the dying Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Dev was waiting for Krishna to come, waiting for the Muhurta as well, that the Uttarayan and all that, but he was waiting for Krishna to come. And Krishna is very merciful, right, towards his devotees. So he comes and he actually gives him that mercy. So Bhishma Dev is looking at Krishna. He's given all the instructions, Yudhishthira Maharaj, wonderful set of instructions on how to lead an ideal, how to be an ideal king, how you should be a guardian or a representative of the Supreme Lord. And that Supreme Lord that I'm speaking about, many people tell about how Bhishma Dev gave the Vishnu Sahasranam during that time. Now that Supreme Personality of Godhead is none other than this son of Devaki and Vasudeva who is standing with us here. Okay, and my dear Krishna, I want to leave my body looking at you, and that's how Bhishma Dev passes away. The wonderful passing away of Bhishma Dev happens. Then the story goes a little fast. We will probably not have enough time to discuss all this. Covering Canto 1, 2, and 3 is not possible in 1 hour. So we'll see some more pastimes, some more instructions later on. But here what happens after Bhishma Dev passes away, Krishna takes the permission of all the elder gurus, and he actually goes to Dwarka. The way Krishna lives, this is a photo of Krishna leaving Hastinapur. Everyone is crying, praying to Krishna. Everyone is on the rooftop. All the women are on the rooftop. The emotions are very nice. How they are shy, they're crying. They do, but they are still going to miss Krishna, because Krishna has stayed with them for so long that they feel that Krishna is our person. How will he ever go away? Okay, that mood. In many places, it's like non-different from the mood of Vrindavan, where Krishna was coming out, right? So they're a little association with Krishna, they just can't stay away. Now Krishna has left this place, And I don't have a photo, but Krishna is entering Dwarka. On the way, he visits a few more kingdoms, and how they all welcome Krishna is very nice. But Krishna is now entering Dwarka. Now imagine these people, they know Krishna belongs to us, but Krishna is not with us. So their mood, the emotions are so nicely there between what's there in Hastinapur when Krishna is leaving them and coming, how they're going to miss, and how the Dwarkavasis are now welcoming Krishna. Okay, whenever we welcome, so thanks to Rancho Prabhu Pransaki Mataji, we had that wonderful Rath Yatra a couple of weeks back where we welcomed Jagannath to our homes. Okay, we got the opportunity to actually welcome the Lord. What should be our mood? How wonderfully we should, you should dress up very eloquently, dress our houses very nicely, very auspiciously, and everyone is waiting. Krishna is going to come. Krishna is going. The messenger is come. So that entire mood of when Krishna enters Dwaraka and how everyone is feeling, how the 16,108 queens, they welcome Krishna. Everything is very beautifully mentioned there. Okay, then now Krishna has entered Dwaraka. The story cuts there. We'll go back to Hastinapur. Now Parikshit is born. His name is Parikshit, is because he had that pariksha, right? The inquiry. He was questioning that who's that personality who came when I was in the womb of my mother Uttara. So he's now born and he's inquiring every person he sees. He's saying, "Are you this person? Are you this person?" So that's what he's doing, and because of that, his name is Parikshit. Okay, so Parikshit is born. Parikshit grows up, and meanwhile, Vidura visits Dhritarashtra, Gandhari. He gives them a nice set of instructions. These are also very nice. It teaches us how do we retire from our family. When is the right time to retire? How we should not become over dependent, and what is retirement? Obviously, in Dhritarashtra's case, he could actually take Vanaprastha, but in our case, so Prabhupada is very nicely mentioned, or a lot of acharyas, a lot of lectures are there around this particular chapter where Dhritarashtra quits home. How do we be in the mood of retirement? That happens. Then Dhritarashtra, once he goes, now Yudhishthira next day he's feeling very, very, very sad, because Dhritarashtra did not tell him, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they just left without informing the Pandavas overnight, right? They left. So now Yudhishthira is very sad. He sees a lot of bad omen, bad signs happening over a period of time. And he also knows that Arjuna is not yet returned from Dwarka. Arjuna had gone to Dwarka on Krishna's service. So something wrong is happening. He's talking to his brothers. So he's talking to Arjuna and others. So when in this sad mood of Yudhishthira comes Arjuna, and Yudhishthira's questions to Arjuna are very nice. If you get a chance, you can read them. He talks about everything other than asking about the welfare of Krishna. He knows that Krishna is there. Krishna ka to, he's the supreme personality of God. The way he tells, did you offend anyone? Were you not able to protect someone who has taken shelter of you? Arjuna was crying, right? Arjuna's face was swollen with crying. So Yudhishthira is asking all these questions, but then he finally comes down to this saying, by any chance is our dearmost friend, well-wisher, our life and soul not there on earth anymore, not there anymore? And then Arjuna agrees to it, saying, yes, Krishna and all the Yadus have disappeared, left, or winded up their pastimes. And Yudhishthira and the Pandavas understand that it's time for us to retire as well. With Krishna not being there, Kali Yuga is now going to jump in. Let's actually retire. And so they put Parikshit in charge. Parikshit now was a very qualified king. So they put Parikshit in charge, then next in here, and then all the Pandavas retire. Okay, so the story goes very nicely. Now here, I don't have too much of philosophy, just a story, but very nice conclusion here saying, wherever there is false identification, matter is more talked about. Never mind in material life or in sadhana life. Okay, we might be in spiritual life, we might talk about many things spiritual in spiritual life, but if you look at this particular canto in the 15th chapter that we have discussed, the topic, irrespective of what happens, Ashwatthama is shooting an arrow, Uttara is feeling sad, the 5 sons of Pandavas are killed, it could be Krishna entering Dwaraka or leaving Hastinapur, it could be Bhishma Dev, it could be Kunti Devi's prayers, it could be Parikshit Maharaj. Everywhere the focal point is always going to be Krishna. And if you are not in bodily consciousness, invariably your topics will be around Krishna. And that is the takeaway from whatever we have heard so far. So we will continue hearing. Okay. The next set of the discussions happen about how Parikshit Maharaj. I really wanted to talk about this story, but considering that we have very little time, we'll see if we can discuss it. Many of you might already know this particular pastime about Parikshit Maharaj. He ruled so nicely. It is said that when he ruled, it was as good as Satya Yuga back. But one day he finds this personality of Kali who is troubling the cows, and he's chopped the legs of the bull. So he wanted to chop him off. And this Kali says, I'm also a person and I need a protection in your kingdom. I'm also a citizen, like a leader should take care of all the citizens. So he says, I need also place. So Parikshit Maharaj gives him the 4 places, which is typically your meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. So he says you can stay in these 4 places. Kali says, you don't have such place in your kingdom. You have taken care of your kingdom so nicely. Give me something better. And that's where Parikshit Maharaj agrees to him, saying that wherever there is gold transaction, there will always be falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. That place also you can say these are the 5 places of your residence. And this is where, Kali starts capturing. Okay. So let's not going too much into details. This particular piece, which I'm going to mention now, is not part of this Bhagavatam, but this is mentioned by the acharyas in a few places while it said that this gold that was used in some of these gambling and illicit activities now comes into the kingdom, and that gold was used to make the crown of Parikshit Maharaj, and because of which he was at one particular time lost his senses, which was the reason behind the arrival of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Shamika Rishi, we know this pastime, how Parikshit Maharaj takes a dead snake and puts it on the neck of meditating Shamika Rishi while he was in the forest hunting, and he was very tired and he was thirsty. He did this act and he really regretted this act. Shamika Rishi's son Shringi actually comes and curses Parikshit Maharaj that he would die in 7 days bitten by a snake. Okay, Kali Yuga arrives right there. At that time, it takes full, Kali Yuga is full flourish when the Brahmanas lose their sense of control. Okay, the Kshatriya like Parikshit Maharaj does an act like this that is mentioned, but it is Shringi when he curses a qualified devotee, a personality like Parikshit. Many people ask this question: Parikshit was such a nice person. Why did he do this act? Parikshit, how can he be cursed? Why did he not counter curse? Everything is explained in the first canto. So all these are there, and that's when Shringi curses Parikshit Maharaj, you have all the trouble that comes in, and Parikshit Maharaj voluntarily accepts that, okay, in the next 7 days, I'm ready to leave my body, being bitten by a snake or Takshaka, the king of snakes, as cursed by Shringi. So he says that, and he immediately decides he will have to retire as well. So he puts his son Janamejaya into throne, and he actually goes into the banks of Ganges. He sits on the bank of Ganges where a lot of wonderful personalities arrive, and all these personalities are waiting for someone to arrive who is going to now give the essence to Parikshit Maharaj, and that personality is Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami is now arrived. This is the 19th chapter or the end of the first canto of Bhagavatam. So many of us know Sukadeva Goswami Parikshit conversation is actually Bhagavatam. It is first canto. No Parikshit Maharaj Sukadeva Goswami conversation happens. It comes in, Parikshit Maharaj then starts asking questions. So all of us will now continue to hear from here. So all this was mentioned by Suta Goswami so far. Okay. Like I mentioned, I'll take a lot of time in the first canto, which I have done. Going into the second and third canto, we'll talk very, very briefly about a few things here. The second canto talks about the supremacy of Krishna Bhakti. Okay, there's wonderful conversation between the Lord and Brahmaji, the various other processes like demigod worship, meditating on the Virata Rupa, then Paramatma, and Ashtanga Yoga. All these are also briefly mentioned. We'll talk about Chatushloki Bhagavatam. This is very important. 4 shlokas. What is the essence? We'll just touch about it. And the definition of the 10 topics, we already saw it in the beginning. This is my summary of the second canto. Like I mentioned, this is not exhaustive. Okay. 2 very nice shlokas before we get into the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. The reason from second and third canto, we don't have too many pastimes. Third canto we'll have, but second canto is more philosophical in nature, more about the Glories of the Lord and Srimad Bhagavatam. So this two I have taken from there. Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmaha Satam. So those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the blood of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, see, our consciousness, whenever we think about material enjoyment, the Shastras call it as polluted. Whenever you read Srimad Bhagavatam, that pollution is cleared. When you read here, try to understand. Like I said, again, Bhagavatam reciprocates with us. This sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Okay, so like we know, we always talk about Cheto Darpana Marshanam, right? So it says the dust of mirror of the mind or the heart is actually cleansed by this Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, beautiful glories of Srimad Bhagavatam are there. Why is Srimad Bhagavatam is so glorious? Because it's not different from Krishna. Why is Krishna so glorious? These are the four shlokas from, or the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. The reason why many of the Mayavadis do not touch Srimad Bhagavatam, even if they touch Srimad Bhagavatam, they don't touch on these particular four shlokas, is because this very clearly mentions about the Supreme Lord, the relationship with him, and establishes him as the person. He actually is telling Brahma, see, nothing existed before me. I am the only one there. From me comes the creation. I am the reason for the creation. And, after annihilation, only I'll be there. And everything rests upon me. Okay. Without me, there is no value of any of the relationships that you have. Okay. And like we might have heard in Bhagavad Gita, right? So I'm also part of it, but I'm away from it. I'm not touched by material contamination. And whatever you are searching, the net sum and substance has to be me. That is supposed to be the entire reason for anything that you're searching in the entire world. Okay, spiritual material world. So that is what Krishna very, very clearly establishes. There's this wonderful conversation between the Lord and Brahmaji. Okay, we all know, I think last time Prabhu mentioned, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikaviye, right? This message was given by the Lord into the heart of Brahma. That's how this entire Vedic knowledge, entire Srimad Bhagavatam also comes up. Okay, so this is a set of 4 shlokas. Whenever you get time, my suggestion, you can read through this. Okay, like we saw the 10 different topics we'll jump down to the 3rd canto. We know we covered very little in 2nd canto. I think that's good enough. I didn't want to get too much into the technicalities. There are a lot of details that are there. But 3rd canto talks a little more about pastime. So there is this conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Very beautiful conversation. Basically, it touches upon this topics of Sarga and Visarga. We'll see that in the next slide. Basically, your creation and secondary creation. And then there is wonderful description of the Vaikuntha planets. We may not have time to cover that, but you can actually read through this. There are a lot of acharyas who have given about it. It could be Ramanujacharya, for example. He talks about the entire Vaikuntha world. When you enter, what all you will see. When you cross the Viraja river, what all happens. That entire piece is there. So here also there's description of both the Vaikuntha planets, how beautiful it is. Then of course the wonderful incarnation of Varahadev, the background to this incarnation. We'll see if we can touch upon that story. And then the teachings of Kapil Dev to his mother Devahuti. Okay, with this, 3rd canto ends. There's a lot of philosophy in there as well in the conversations. So basically the 2 aspects of creation. Any Mahapurana, if something has to be a Mahapurana, now Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost of Mahapuranas, it has to talk about various aspects. It can't only stick to one thing, like it can't just talk about the pastimes of the Lord. Even though that's the most nectarian part for us, it still has to tell us what is creation, how are people created, what are their roles, how are they taken care of, Poshana, what are the different time zones, Manvantaras, everything has to be covered. That's how a Purana becomes a Mahapurana. That's how anything is considered. So 18 Mahapuranas, you have the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it talks about this creation, the primary creation that happens from the Lord, the Supreme Lord. We know this from your Karanodaksha Vishnu, the Karana ocean. the causal ocean or the cause of all causes. And then the secondary creation that happens by Brahmaji, the 14 planetary systems and the demigods and all the people like Daksha and other progenitors and everything. That's a secondary creation. This part is explained. Then this wonderful pastime, just by looking at these three photos, I think most of you would know what I'm talking about. So the sons of Brahma have all this knowledge with them. The four Kumaras, they are not going to grow up physically, so they look like little kids, but they have all the knowledge. They try to enter the Vaikuntha planet. They are stopped by Jaya and Vijaya. They curse Jaya and Vijaya, were wonderful devotees. And then the Supreme Lord himself comes and tells sorry on behalf of Jaya Vijaya. These people actually fall at his lotus feet and says, no, we are very sorry. We should not have done that. But the Lord says, no, let Jaya and Vijay actually accept this curse. And that's how the Lord agrees. And the four Kumaras understand that the Lord has accepted this because the Lord wants to do his pastimes. That mood of the Lord is not something very easy to understand. Why were Jaya Vijaya cursed? Why did they come as demons? Why did they get an opportunity of having 3 lives against the Lord and all that? That's because that's the Lord's desire. It comes in Bhishma Dev's story while Bhishma Dev was in the mood of the chivalry with the Lord. Here also the Lord wants someone really qualified to fight. Who can be qualified to fight against that Supreme Lord? So he sends his own devotees saying, you become powerful, I'll come and fight with you. And that continues with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu being born. And then this Hiranyaksha actually fights with Lord Varahadev. Varahadev saves Mother Earth and puts it back in the orbit. So that entire pastime, very beautiful pastimes. Most of you know. So that is also part of this canto. I have 5 more minutes. I'll finish off this last piece, which is very, very beautiful. This is about the conversation of Kapiladev with his mother Devahuti, when Kardama Muni, the father of Kapiladev, he takes care of Devahuti so nicely, and then one time he actually leaves her and goes and in the care of Kapiladev, and then Devahuti is very sad and she's asking for details, and Kapiladev explains her wonderfully, and then there is a particular book, a BBT book that is Kapildev instructions to Devotee, which is there. But we may not go through all the instructions. There are very key points that I have picked up here, which is association with the Supreme Lord through hearing, through the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever you hear about the Lord, his devotees, his pastimes, and his dham, these are all non-different from the Lord. Okay, so this you can associate with the Lord personally through hearing. Okay, and how do we surrender? The perfect knowledge through surrender, and bhakti as ultimate liberation. Liberation doesn't mean going back to Godhead. Liberation has so many aspects to it, but for us, liberation means getting that love for the Lord. Okay, with all these topics, he actually instructs devotee, and then Mother Devotee actually accepts this, and she becomes a perfect devotee of the Lord. Okay. We may not have time to cover all this, but let me briefly touch upon this, saying how these are 9 stages of bhakti, which all of us know, right? Starting from Ado, Shraddha, Tata, Sadhu, Sangha, and so on, goes all the way to attaining that supreme goal of our life, which is Krishna Prema, correct? Now, if you look at the chart on the right, this is the practical analogy, like our Raja Krishna Prabhu calls. I've taken this slide from him. So, initially when you have, Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, spiritual life looks easy. Once we have to start doing, I have to chant 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 16 rounds, a little uphill task. Then comes my biggest stage, which is, anartha nivritti, where I have to now let go of my anarthas for want, my anarthas for hankering, lamentation, my greed, jealousy, anger. Each of them is going to hold me back to cross this. Then I become a little more steady as I become nishta and I get a taste for what I do. It becomes a lot more, the curve actually normalizes. This huge stage, I think most of us would be in this stage here. This huge stage when we carry, when we cross, when we get that asakti, when we have the complete interest, and we also have the ruchi, which is a taste for the Lord, then it's a downhill task. Your bhava and prema automatically will come. Okay, I'm not saying automatic in the cheap sense of it being automatic. The bhakti will come only by the costless mercy of the Lord. But if you can cross this hurdle, most of your work is done. Rest of it is, devotees will pull you through. and only by the association of devotees this can happen. We cannot actually cross this by ourselves. Okay, so association of devotees, association of the Supreme Lord is extremely important. I will wrap it up with this. We may have time for 1 or 2 questions if the devotees are okay for that. Okay, this is what my Guru Maharaj, Jaipada Swami Guru Maharaj, said very recently about Srimad Bhagavatam, that all of us, it's not about reading, hearing about Srimad Bhagavatam, it's also about having a Srimad Bhagavatam at home. Okay, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Srimad Bhagavatam is a very special Shastra scripture. No inauspiciousness can enter any home where Srimad Bhagavatam is kept. In the Kali Yuga, we should specially keep Srimad Bhagavatam in every house. Every day in that house, Lord Hari with 13 principal demigod comes. Okay, please understand, we all have Srimad Bhagavatam nicely wrapped up. Many of us, nicely wrapped up in the cover, never opened. We like the online version. Some of us, most of us, we don't even open it. Someone gifted or somewhere, we took life membership and we got Srimad Bhagavatam very nicely wrapped up and kept. But this is what the Acharyas are telling, saying, keep Srimad Bhagavatam in your house, open it, read it, worship it as non-different from Krishna. Everything that you do will be very auspicious. So I will stop with this wonderful quote from my spiritual master. Now, I know it's been one way. I've spoken a lot of things. I'm hoping whatever I've told wrong, you will all forgive me. But if any of you have any questions, any comments, I will be more than happy to take it in the next couple of minutes. You have questions, you can put it in the chat log, or you can unmute yourself and speak. I would also love devotees if they can come on video and ask. Please feel free to do that. We have nice people here. We have Kripamay Prabhu, Ranjor Prabhu, Aprajit Prabhu, many senior devotees. So we have Vyasdev Vasudev Pran Prabhu, Sukhi Prabhu. So if you have questions, they will definitely answer. If I can't, so. Okay. I do not see any questions coming in. So we are up on time. So should we wrap it up, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Arav Prabhu, for the comment.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for joining. So let's all thank Sanatana Nitaigaura Prabhu for his wonderful class on first 3 cantos, and first 2 cantos he covered most of the topics, but he has told already that this is summary, not it is exhaustive summary. But the nice points he has covered, the stories, different stories of devotees like Kunti Devi story, and what Pandavas what happened to Pandavas, and how Kunti Devi prays. So it was a very nice explanation. So let's all thank Sanatana Thakur by chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama, Rama
Pranam.
Giving comments from devotees.
Thank you all for the nice comments.
Ansik Mataji, any announcements are there? So as we have told last week that any devotee, if they want Bhagavatam set, they can order online, and it will be delivered. And we have we have published the form. We have published the form for Bhagavatam order. I think hope you all seen in the WhatsApp groups. So please kindly throw, if any of your friends, family members, or other relatives, anybody wants it, they can order through online through that form. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Sumit Prabhu, we can end.
Sure. Hare Krishna, we'll make next week then.